Okay, hi. So I had a debate with Chat GBT on flat Earth, and I actually had it apologise and admit he'd given false information. I didn't mean to have a debate. I just asked a question, and I was surprised at the bias of the answer, and so it ended up being a debate. So I'm going to show you the discussion. It's really quite shocking, I think. So let's come in. So how it started was, hopefully you can see, that I asked the very simple question: what is the best argument here for the flat Earth, or the Earth is flat, or the belief? So let's read it correctly. What is the best argument for the belief the Earth is flat? So it's not to answer the question and just say there's no scientific evidence to support the belief the Earth is flat, and then they continue about it being conspiracy. But that's not what my question was. So I asked again. Yet I want to know the best argument for the flat Earth position. And then they start to give an answer. The most common argument by flat Earth proponents is that satellite imagery and other forms of evidence for a spherical Earth can be explained away, blah, blah, blah. And I pointed out that's not an argument for flat Earth, but against a spherical Earth. What's their best argument for it being flat? I mean, they don't want to answer the question. So then it gives an answer, which I didn't really agree with. So I asked, have there been tests for curvature with lasers? So they said yes, and went on to a little bit about that, about lasers to the moon and back, which seems a very strange way of testing for the curvature of the Earth, to shoot your laser at the Earth. So I asked, how about lasers from one point on the Earth to the other? Because to my mind, that should be a nice test, because if a laser can travel from one point to another, let's say a mile away, and there's supposed to be a curve, it shouldn't be able to hit the point a mile away, because it should be dropped below, right? So it's a straight line laser, which lasers are, should be a really nice way of testing. So they said, yes, laser distance measurements have been used to measure the Earth from one point of the surface to another. These experiments, known as electronic distance measurements, EDMs, have been conducted, blah, 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 blah. Oh no, actually, let me just continue with reading that. And have consistently confirmed the Earth's oblate spheroid shape and its expected amount of curvature. In these experiments, lasers are aimed over long distances, sometimes hundreds of kilometers, and the time it takes for the laser to travel to a reflector and back is measured from this. The distance and curvature can be calculated. Now that made no sense to me, because traveling over 100 that kind of distance on a curved Earth, the laser shouldn't be able to hit a spot 100 kilometers or 200 kilometers away. So I asked that question: how is it possible for a laser to travel over hundreds of kilometers? Because the curvature should prevent that. Okay, so then they say laser beams do not follow the curved surface of the Earth, they travel in straight lines. Fantastic, I agree, which is why it shouldn't be able to go 100 kilometers and hit a point on the other side, because the curvature should ensure that it's dropped below it. Anyway, they said the curvature of the Earth becomes notable over extremely long distances, such as those between the Earth and other celestial bodies. For instance, for distances of a few hundred kilometers or less, the curvature is not significant enough to affect the path of a laser beam. This is why electronic distance measurements using lasers can be used to confirm the Earth's curvature on these scales. It's worth noting that even over long distances, the Earth's curvature is still not enough to prevent a laser beam from reaching its target. Okay, really? That's complete BS, but let's continue. So I asked them, what is the curvature drop over 100 kilometers? Because the answer to that question should prove that they've just talked complete BS. The AI answered this: the amount of curvature over the 100 kilometers can be calculated using blah blah formula. The curvature over 100 kilometers is approximately 8 centimeters, which I almost fell off my chair, because that's absolutely ridiculously false. They said this is a very small amount. I agree, and it's not noticeable at the scale of EDM measurements or everyday observation. Okay, that would be true if it was 8 centimeters, but it's not. That's complete codswallop. So I said, according to the Earth curvature calculator, the drop is 784.79 meters. So how have you arrived at 8 centimeters? Then they had to say this: I apologize for the error in my previous answer. The drop in curvature over 100 kilometers is indeed approximately 4.79 kilometers, not 8 centimeters. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. Oh, wow. They've just given me utterly false information after showing extreme bias. Obviously, this is picking up information from the search engines and so on. That's where it gets it. But this is highlighting the extreme bias nature and the false information that they give, which it's picking up on because that's pretty much all you get in regular searches. However, it did really prove the point that if you can send a laser 100 and 200 kilometers, I chose the 100, which is the lesser of the originally, I was talking up to 200 kilometers, which would be astronomically higher drop. But anyway, we work with 100. So if the laser can hit the target as 100 kilometers, then there's no way that a straight line can achieve that. So I thought I would continue. I didn't get very far, but I'll continue pointing that out. So I said this: therefore, the laser experiments would appear to offer strong evidence for a flat Earth, since it would be impossible to perform over such a distance on a curved Earth, right? So they say no, laser experiments do not offer evidence for a flat Earth. On the contrary, they provide strong evidence for a spherical Earth. Really? We've just blown that away. Okay, and their argument is the laser experiments work using lasers to measure the distances between 2 points on the Earth's surface. Despite the Earth's curvature, the laser beams can still travel the distances between the 2 points because the beam is aimed high enough to clear the Earth's surface and avoid the curvature. So basically what they're saying is that they're lifting the laser high enough to avoid that, which is more complete BS. So I asked, what height are these lasers in these experiments placed? Okay. So they then answer the height of the lasers used in EDM's experiments can vary, but they're typically mounted on tripod stands or other types of support structures that elevate them above the Earth's surface. The exact height of the lasers can depend on specific experiments, the distances measured, blah, blah. Okay, so they didn't give an answer. So I asked again in another way, what height would the laser need to be to clear a 785 meter drop? Okay. So the height at which a laser needs to be elevated in order to clear a 785 meter drop depends on the distance over which the laser is being aimed. Okay, so I have to re-ask the question. What height would the laser need to be to clear a 785 meter covering a 100 kilometer distance? The height necessary to clear a 785 meter drop over a 100 kilometer distance can be calculated using blah, blah, blah. So to be clear, a 785 meter drop over a 100 kilometer distance, the laser would need to be elevated to a height of approximately 230.3 meters above the Earth's surface, which is ridiculous because they're not doing that. So, yet you said the laser tests done over that distance were simply mounted on tripods on the ground, which would be a maximum of 2 meters. So this experiment cannot prove a curvature as claimed. I apologize again for the confusion in my previous response. The height of the lasers used in EDM experiments is typically just a few meters above the ground, but we've just established it needs to be 200 and whatever it was meters in order to bypass the Earth curvature. So a few meters above the ground wouldn't bypass it. I mean, they've dug a massive hole for themselves. So just a few meters above the ground, typically mounted on tripods or other support structures, they are no more than a few meters tall. This is not high enough to clear the curvature. Great, we agree, of the Earth over a 100 kilometer distance, and thus these experiments cannot provide direct proof of the Earth's curvature. No, they provide direct proof of it being flat. That's the whole point. They definitely don't prove it's curved because you shouldn't be able to, for a laser to be fired over 100 kilometers and hit the target, because if the Earth had a curvature, that couldn't happen. So if it's claimed the height of the laser is not sufficient to clear the Earth's curvature, yet it reaches its destination, then this proves the Earth does not have the claimed curvature. Very clear and obvious. But they say, no, this does not prove that the Earth is flat. The failure of the laser beam to clear the Earth's curvature over 100 kilometers, given the limited height at which the lasers are typically mounted, would simply indicate a limitation in the design of the experiment and not an absence of curvature. God help us all. This is just like arguing with an actual globe head. There's just no rational logic or reason. It's crazy, but that is where they're at. Absolutely not. So there you have it. That's me debating AI, and that's what you get. It's very similar to debating an actual real glober. Same sort of thing. Have a great day.